Welcome back to Fiscal Fold. We are told there are two paths to financial security, the safe path and the risky one. But what if the safe path is the most dangerous one of all? This is the story of two brothers, Liam and Noah, who put that question to the test over 25 years. A story of love, struggle, and the brutal truth of money. Our story begins 2 decades ago. Two brothers, inseparable. Liam, the pragmatist, believed in hard work and tangible savings. Noah, the dreamer, was fascinated by the world of markets and growth. Both were smart, both were ambitious, and both wanted a better life than their parents had. One day, after a small inheritance, they each received $10,000. It was the most money they had ever seen. That night, they made a pact. They would both use this money to build a future, and in 25 years, they would see who made the wiser choice. It was a friendly competition, but one that would define their lives. Noah, the cautious brother, chose what he believed was the path of certainty. He took his $10,000 and deposited it into a high-yield savings account. He trusted the bank. He believed in the safety of cash. He slept soundly at night, knowing his money was protected, earning a steady, predictable interest. Liam, the risk-taker, chose the path of growth. He took his $10,000 and invested it in a simple, low-cost index fund that tracked the entire market. He understood that there would be volatility, that there would be crashes. But he wasn't betting on a single company. He was betting on the long-term growth of the global economy. Their two choices represented two fundamentally different beliefs about money. Noah believed money was something to be protected from loss. Liam believed money was a tool to be used for growth. One prioritized avoiding risk. The other prioritized embracing calculated risk for a greater reward. For the first few years, it seemed Noah was the genius. His bank account grew steadily, while Liam's investments went up and down, sometimes losing value for months at a time. Noah felt secure. Liam felt stressed. But the seeds of their future were already planted. In the next part, we will explore the first decade of their journey, the quiet years, and see how the brutal math of compounding begins to reveal the truth. Stay with us. For the first 5 years, Noah's path seemed like the clear winner. His savings account grew by a predictable 3% every year. It was slow, but it was certain. He could track his progress to the penny. He felt in complete control. He bought a new car. He went on vacations. He lived a comfortable, secure life, confident in his choice. Liam's journey, however, was a roller coaster. The market went up, and his $10,000 grew to 12, then 15. But then, the market would dip, and he'd lose $2,000 in a week. He wasn't spending his gains. He was reinvesting everything. To an outsider, his path looked stressful and uncertain. Around year 7, the first major test came. A market correction. The news was filled with panic. Headlines screamed about a crash. Liam's portfolio, which had grown to nearly $25,000, plummeted by 30% in 2 months. He lost over $7,000. He felt sick. The doubt was deafening. During this time, Noah's $10,000 had grown to about $12,000. It wasn't a lot, but it hadn't lost a single penny. He called Liam, not to gloat, but out of genuine concern. "Are you okay?" he'd ask. "You can always pull your money out and put it in a savings account. It's not too late to choose the safe path." Liam was tempted. Every instinct told him to sell, to stop the bleeding, to run back to the safety of cash that his brother was enjoying. But he remembered the books he'd read, the lessons of history. He remembered that time, not timing, was the key to growth. With trembling hands, he did the hardest thing an investor can do: nothing. In fact, he invested more. And then, slowly, the market recovered. And because Liam had held on, and even bought more at the bottom, his portfolio didn't just recover. It exploded. Within 2 years, his initial $10,000 was now worth over $40,000. Noah's savings, meanwhile, had crept up to just under $13,000. The gap was beginning to widen, and for the first time, Noah felt a flicker of a different emotion, not security, but envy. This was the turning point. The moment the linear safety of saving was overtaken by the exponential power of compounding. In the next part, we'll explore the next 10 years of their journey, the Great Divide, as Liam's wealth begins to truly separate from his brother's, creating a gap that can never be closed. Don't miss it. The next 10 years are what financial experts call the Great Divide. This is where the patient investor's journey separates completely from the cautious savers. It's not dramatic. It's quiet. It's mathematical. And it is brutal. By year 15, the brothers' financial lives were no longer just different. They were in different universes. Liam's initial $10,000, through market growth and consistent reinvestment, had grown to over $150,000. Noah's savings, earning its steady 3%, had turned into just under $16,000. But here is the cruel truth. Due to inflation over those 15 years, Noah's $16,000 had the purchasing power of less than his original $10,000. He hadn't saved money. He had lost value. This financial gap created two very different lives. Liam, while not yet a millionaire, had achieved a form of freedom. He could take risks in his career. He could afford to change jobs. He had a safety net built not of cash, but of productive assets. He had options. He was playing offense. He traveled. He invested in his own education. His conversations were about opportunities and growth. He was still smart with his money, but he operated from a position of abundance. His assets were working for him, generating more wealth even when he was on vacation. Noah, on the other hand, was trapped. He was constantly anxious about unexpected expenses. A car repair was a crisis. A medical bill was a disaster. His salary barely kept up with his rising cost of living. His conversations were about saving, cutting back, and surviving. He was playing defense, and he was losing. This is the power of compounding. For the first few years, it's invisible, a tiny seed growing underground. But after a decade, the tree breaks through the surface and begins to grow exponentially. Liam's money was making money. Noah's money was just sitting there, being eaten alive by inflation. The Great Divide wasn't caused by a secret stock tip or a lucky bet. It was caused by a choice made 15 years earlier, the choice to trust in growth over the illusion of safety. In the next part, we will face the ultimate test, a catastrophic market crash that threatens to wipe out everything Liam has built and test the brothers' bond to its breaking point. You won't want to miss it. For 15 years, Liam's strategy of investing had paid off spectacularly. He was wealthy, free, and secure. But every strategy that creates wealth must eventually face the ultimate test, a true crisis. And in year 20, it arrived. A global recession, a market panic, a crash that rivaled the Great Depression. This was the fire that would test what each brother's philosophy was truly made of. The headlines were brutal. Market in freefall. Billions wiped out. Worst crash in a century. The market didn't just dip, it collapsed. In 6 months, it lost over 50% of its value. It was a bloodbath, the kind of event that breaks even the most seasoned investors. Liam's portfolio, which had peaked at over $500,000, was decimated. It fell to $250,000, then $200,000. Every day, he woke up poorer than the day before. The work of 2 decades seemed to be vanishing in a matter of weeks. The psychological pressure was immense. This wasn't just numbers on a screen. It was his future, his family's security, his life's work. And what about Noah? His savings account, now at around $20,000, was untouched. It was safe. It was secure. It was insured by the government. In the face of global chaos, his simple, boring strategy had protected him completely. He felt a profound sense of relief, and for the first time in years, a sense of superiority. He had been right all along. Safety was the smart play. He called Liam. "I'm here for you," he said, with genuine love. "If you need money, I have my savings. It's not much, but it's safe. Maybe it's time to finally sell, to protect what's left before it all goes to zero." To Noah, this was an act of brotherly love. To Liam, it was the ultimate test of his conviction. His own brother, the person he loved most, was telling him his life's philosophy was wrong. But Liam, despite the fear, had one advantage Noah didn't. He had studied history. He knew that every crash in history had been followed by a recovery. He knew that the greatest fortunes are made by buying when there is blood in the streets. He thanked his brother, hung up the phone, and took every dollar he had in cash reserves. And he bought more. This was the moment of divergence. One brother ran from the fire, the other ran into it. One chose the comfort of the present, the other chose the possibility of the future. In the final part of our story, The Reckoning, we will fast forward 5 years to see the staggering, life-altering consequences of this single decision. It's the conclusion you can't afford to miss. 5 years have passed since the Great Crash, an entire economic cycle. The world has changed, and so have the fortunes of our two brothers. This is the reckoning, the final, undeniable result of two different philosophies meeting the brutal reality of time, risk, and inflation. This is the end of the story. The market didn't just recover, it roared back with a vengeance. Fueled by government stimulus and new technology, it entered one of the biggest bull runs in history. Those who had sold at the bottom locked in their losses forever. Those who bought at the bottom, like Liam, saw their wealth multiply at a staggering rate. 5 years after the crash, Liam's portfolio, which had fallen to $200,000, was now worth over $2 million. His initial $10,000 investment had grown 200-fold. He was no longer just comfortable. He was wealthy. He had achieved true financial sovereignty. He retired from his job, not because he had to, but because he wanted to, focusing on his passions and his family. Noah's savings account, after 25 years, had grown to just over $22,000. But the inflation that followed the government stimulus had been devastating. His $22,000 now had the purchasing power of less than $8,000 from when he started. He had worked his entire life, saved diligently, and had less to show for it than the day he began. He was approaching retirement age with no assets, no passive income, and a deep sense of fear. One day, Liam visited Noah. There was no "I told you so." There was no arrogance. There was only sadness for a future that could have been. Liam offered his brother help, not as a handout, but as a partner. He offered to manage his brother's remaining money, to finally put it to work. Noah finally understood. The greatest risk wasn't the volatility of the market. It was the certainty of inflation. The safe path had been a guaranteed path to poverty. He had spent his life protecting his money from risk, and in doing so, had exposed it to the one risk that is unavoidable, the relentless decay of value over time. He hadn't been saving. He had been slowly drowning. This story has a clear lesson. What is your relationship with risk? Are you avoiding it, or are you managing it? Let me know in the comments below what this story taught you. And if you're ready to stop saving and start building, subscribe to Fiscal. We're here to guide you on the path of ownership. Invest wisely,